Did you know Gege Akutami has stated he doesn't like him, and he was so happy when he sealed him away for a few years now. But what if I told you that Gojo's unsealing is on the way? Because Gege Akutami confirmed he wants to end Jujutsu Kaisen's manga in the next 50 chapters by the end of the year. Wait a second, why do I sound hyped? I should be sad.
Oh no. I can't take this more, man.
So how does Gege plan to end the series so soon? Well, Nobara made an appearance only to mention her death. Megumi's linked to not only Sukuna's return, but 3 more ancient curse users. Cursed spirits have just revealed their huge secret, and chapter 210 explains how everything is connected, as Satoru Gojo's clues have been left for us to decipher. So it's time to go starting with Hana's traumatizing past. As a community, we all knew she had a crush on Megumi. And I mean, who wouldn't? Fans speculated that they interacted in their school years. However, it turns out that Hana was living a drastically opposite life than that of a normal schoolgirl. She was instead being raised by a cursed spirit as a mother. Hana was in a group of stray children who were abducted by a cursed spirit, and they were forced to live with it. The children knew that the curse wasn't their mother, but eventually everyone stopped complaining, heavily implying that they might have been killed. This is an insane, bizarre image, because by virtue, cursed spirits are responsible for a plethora of deaths every year in Japan, as Satoru Gojo stated. Even if cursed spirits are capable of gaining sentience, the only emotion they've displayed for humans is disgust and hatred. For example, Mahito and Jogo considered themselves superior, who upheld the right of existing on the planet instead of them. However, Hana's past showcases a curse fostering children of humankind, beating all that we have seen before. Despite seeming like a low-level curse, instead of a humanoid like Mahito, its actions were not mindless, as it fed the children it had abducted. This tells us it understood the concept of hunger and nutrition. Moreover, there's another instance of unique behavior of cursed spirits in chapter 210. Rather than simply devouring humans like usual, this cursed spirit is using humans on a hook as baits to catch fish to feed other curses. This is important because it's human-like behavior, as we also use bait to catch fish or hunt mammals to feed our families. As time went on, our culture and methods improved, but in the early days of our intelligent existence, we would do the same thing as this cursed spirit. These pieces of evidence tells us that there's a chance that not just humans, even cursed spirits are capable of evolving, much like chimera ants in Hunter x Hunter, which Gege Akutami confirmed he is a big fan of. This is not the first time we've seen curses evolve, and the best example of it is Mahito. He went through a drastic evolution throughout his clash with Yuji, tapping into his true form in the Shibuya arc. He started off as a new special grade curse created through the development of modern society and the negative energy it provided, but he was still in his infancy, as Nanami pointed out. As a result, Mahito grew in his ideological beliefs while gaining more resolve as time passed. He realized his true self that he was adamant about achieving from the very beginning. In fact, Mahito raised some interesting questions regarding Kenjaku's idea of body and soul, as Mahito displayed the human ability to challenge a philosophical idea, something curses shouldn't be able to do if they were mindless. Mahito's ability to manipulate the shape of souls convinced him to theorize that the soul came before the body, which meant that the principal driving force of an entity is the soul. However, this ideology went against the very core of Kenjaku's curse technique, which depends on hopping bodies. Thus, Kenjaku denounced Mahito's claim, as he was still developing, and laughed at it. Remember guys, Kenjaku would think he knows better, since he has existed for 1000 years. years. But if Mahito was given a similar opportunity to evolve, his experience and knowledge would increase, and therefore he would be able to display such expertise. Gege Akutami is setting up the ending for Kenjaku with poetic justice, as we can see multiple plethora of evidence that Suguru Geto's soul still lingers in Kenjaku and is viewing things behind the scenes. Mahito's journey is a juxtaposition to human development, as humans are born ignorant, but as they go through life, they become more like curses because they accumulate hatred and negative emotions that pump curse energy in the first place. On the other hand, curses like Mahito and Jogo start off as something inhumane, literally created out of a abstract negative energy, but then they gain humanity, as indicated by Jogo's tears at the end of his fight with Sukuna, claiming that he wanted only the best for his brothers in arms and wanting to be human, jealous of our infinite potential. With this train of thought, we can prove why Sukuna is the king of curses. However, I need you, yes you, to hit the notification bell and smash the like button to gather enough positive curse energy to do it. Thank you. Essentially, this predicament blurs the line between humanity and curses, something that has been part of Kenjaku's goal for creating evolved beings. However, it also implies that even lower level of cursed spirits are capable of acting and thinking like humans, which can potentially change the way sorcerers perceive them, especially our main gang, and Yuji, who has to struggle with his identity because of Sukuna's presence inside of him. Which brings us to what we have all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, Nobara. Back when I was younger, Jujutsu Kaisen used to have a trio as its main cast. What a golden time. And yet, it's been 84 years since Nobara disappeared from the story and the entire JJK fandom went into copium. However, as excited as this chapter got us, it's getting less likely that Nobara is ever coming back.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Yuji Itadori is struggling with his repressed emotions regarding Nobara's apparent death. He comments that he doesn't want Hana Kurusu to be like the replacement for Nobara. He is scared that his friend will be forgotten because only memories of sorcerers remain, like Todo told him in the Shibuya arc not to disrespect to those that have died. The sorcerers' lives are spent too quickly, even if they knowingly walk the thin line of life and death every day against cursed spirits. Yuji's loss is a sad parallel to Nanami losing Haibara in the Hidden Inventory arc. Nanami and Haibara were the only two first years, and even though they were quite opposite in temperament, they both used to be always together. On the verge of death, Nanami saw Haibara and asked him the reason he returned to being a sorcerer, a decision that altered Yuji's life in both good and the worst ways. The distress and frustration that Yuji is going through is the same as his mentor, and somewhere a small part of them felt that instead of their friend, it should have been them, a common concept in the real world called survivor's guilt. Undoubtedly, Yuji has experienced too much death and loss, but rather than self-reflecting over it and resolving his feelings, he has to keep moving forward like the cog he has begun seeing himself as. And guys, who remembers cogs? It's back! Just like broken cogs in a machine, sorcerers are replaced and get lost to time. All these feelings make Yuji not be his usual nice self to Hana, who's not only of strategic importance for freeing Satoru Gojo, but has also been nothing but nice to them all this time, which is why Megumi seems surprised at Yuji's behavior. However, he quickly realizes his mistake and even states that he will apologize to Hana. This brings us to this massively bold decision in this chapter. When the Japanese guide confesses part of Kenjaku's plan in letting the world invade Japan, Yuji declares that they should save the soldiers. What? Yep, in order to generate a huge amount of curse energy in the colonies of the Culling Game, Kenjaku trapped the world's soldiers by releasing a ton of cursed spirits, because when they die, they will emit curse energy. But Yuji wants to save the same soldiers who want to hunt them, reminding us how he is still the sorcerer who wanted to save a criminal at the detention center in the very first arc. This proves that even going through the most traumatic happenings, Yuji remains the same empathetic boy he started off as. His core values set by his grandfather are in the same line as Satoru Gojo's teachings. Satoru freaking Gojo's dream is to change Jujutsu society through young sorcerers who have an open mindset, unlike the corrupt higher-ups. Chapter 210 further solidifies Gojo's inclination and the way he raised his students, as we see him and child Megumi in Hana Kurusu's past. Megumi quite literally had the dog in him, as his Shikigami Kon led Hana out of the layer of the cursed spirit, raising her. By the time this happened, Hana had lived with the curse for about a year, and one can only imagine the atrocities she might have witnessed in that time period. And of course, by the laws of shonen, Hana fell in love with Megumi, which is why she referred to him as the destined one in chapter 199. Megumi's protection of a helpless Hana gave her a purpose, propelling her to be more like a hero. This is why she decides to help the soldier in peril, because she sees her child self terrorized by a cursed spirit in him. Hana goes against Angel's wishes, as Angel, the vessel inside her, strongly expressed her disapproval for Yuji's decision to save the invaders, because according to her, Hana's risks are Angel's risks too. She doesn't want to endanger her vessel when this rescue mission won't alter the result in the bigger scheme of things that Kenjaku has planned.
Why?
Well, that's because our two MVPs, Kashimo and Higuruma, already killed so many people in Tokyo 1 and Tokyo 2 colonies that they are already filled with tremendous curse energy. However, Yuji gets annoyed by this argument, stating that he doesn't trust any of them, but he was actually referring to Sukuna and Angel. In chapter 199, we came to know that Angel wants to hunt down Sukuna, the Fallen, which will ultimately kill Yuji as well. We know that Hana is not a psycho from her backstory, but what's to say that Angel didn't lead her vessel to Yuji just to confirm her suspicion of Sukuna's presence? These instances prove that ancient reincarnated sorcerers can't really be trusted, because they all have their own motives, and since they were all seduced by Kenjaku into making the binding vow centuries ago, such as Kashimo, they are more aware of this insanity than modern sorcerers are. On top of that, Sukuna has his own agenda in motion through his bath ritual that Uraume is preparing. Guys, it cannot be a huge coincidence that Megumi is at the center of the lives of not one, not two, but three vessels for ancient sorcerers. That is Yuji, his sister Sumiki, and Hana Kurusu. Megumi was assigned to all three of these missions, and he saved or wants to save them all. You know what they say, once is a chance, twice is a coincidence, third time's a pattern. Coupling this with the fact that Satoru Gojo was there with him through all of them raises a huge doubt if this boxman is actually the worst lucky charm in existence, or Satoru Gojo predicted these events. Now you might be wondering, nah BD, why do you say that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same man who took a sudden trip to see Yuta Akatsu, who was training overseas, all to leave guidelines in case something happens to him. Yeah, the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in the world at the moment had a bad feeling, and he found it imperative to untrust his first and second year students with someone having the potential to surpass him. That's an odd thing to do unless Gojo was in the know. go. Moreover, his involvement in the Zenin clan along with Toji still remains a mystery. It seems that before Toji died at Gojo's hands, they both reached an agreement to somehow blackmail Naobito into including the clause that Megumi will become the clan head if Satoru Gojo has died or becomes mentally incapacitated for any reason. This once again extreme precaution from Gojo's side, almost too convenient to provide Megumi with unprecedented power, influence and assets in the Jujutsu world. I mean, if Megumi plays politically correct, there's not a place he can't access now. It's a wonder how it all fell into place with just one clause resting on the far-fetched possibility of Gojo's absence. In reality, Satoru Gojo knew the higher-ups hated him and would betray him at any moment they were given. And since Kenjaku created that opportunity, it sealed the deal, pun intended. Megumi, out of all people, came across 3 vessels, 2 of which are extremely powerful pieces in this culling game. Just maybe Gojo is the real Aizen all along instead of Kenjaku. Whilst Gege Akutami plans to wrap up the story in the next 50 chapters or so, it's important that the pacing of the story doesn't get abruptly awkward, but with the amount of things left unresolved, it's definitely a scare. Because his inspiration is Bleach, and we all know what happened there, right? That being said, Akutami had always estimated a similar time frame for his story, even during his interview with Mando Kobayashi in 2020, with the endings for quite a few characters already planned. Moreover, he has maintained similar pacing all throughout the manga until now, so it's a stretch to say he won't deliver in the last run. Now, to enjoy more peak fiction, watch this video regarding Sukuna's return from the ritual bath I mentioned earlier in the video, as it is a part of the plan to end this series. Bye bye.